Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into another fascinating career. Today, it's all about the world of an ICT security manager.
Buckle up.
We've got excerpts from RoleCatcher.com, think career guides, interview tips, even a peek into their AI-powered job hunting tools.
We're talking about going beyond the job title, folks.
Exactly. So what does an ICT security manager actually do?
Well, it's more dynamic than you might think, that's for sure. RoleCatcher paints a picture of someone proposing security updates 1 minute and then leading a training session the next.
Interesting. So variety is definitely on the table.
Absolutely.
I did notice that direct action part. What kind of action are we talking about? It sounds intense.
Think of it like a digital first responder. They're right there on the front lines,
Okay.
implementing security measures, analyzing vulnerabilities, and responding to incidents in real time. Investigating potential breaches, setting up new security protocols, basically. They're shielding their organization from all those digital threats that are constantly evolving.
Okay, wow, that does sound intense. But then I saw RoleCatcher describe the work environment as low stress.
Mm.
Then in the next breath, they say high pressure when things go wrong. How does that even work?
It's about prevention.
Okay.
You see, ICT security managers, they're always working behind the scenes, strengthening those defenses,
Right.
anticipating those potential threats. It creates this sense of calm, control. But when a security breach does happen, and let's face it, they do, the pressure skyrockets. They instantly become the go-to person.
Oh, wow.
They're responsible for damage control, mitigating the fallout, and making sure the business can keep running smoothly. Talk about weight on your shoulders.
It's a delicate balance for sure, that constant preparation for when things hit the fan.
Exactly.
But what does it mean for someone who's actually thinking about this career path? What kind of skills and education are we even talking about? We'll get into that after this.
So we've established that an ICT security manager needs to be cool under pressure. They need to be able to think on their feet and tackle problems head on.
But how do you even get started? What kind of skills and education do you need to break into this field?
Well, RoleCatcher gives us a pretty extensive list.
They do.
And some of the most crucial skills they highlight might surprise you.
Really? Like what?
It's not just about being a tech whiz. For instance, critical thinking is huge EE.
Okay. Yeah, so that makes sense.
RoleCatcher actually gives it a whopping 59% importance rating for this role.
59%. So it's not just about knowing the tech inside and out. It's about being able to anticipate threats, right?
Right.
And
quickly identify those vulnerabilities.
right, yeah.
And make those split-second decisions when something happens, when a security incident arises.
Oh, for sure.
So you need that analytical mindset, and you need to be adaptable.
Okay, so connecting the dots, seeing that bigger picture,
Exactly.
and not getting bogged down in the technical stuff.
And it's not just about thinking on your own either.
Oh, interesting.
RoleCatcher also emphasizes reading comprehension
Okay.
and active listening. Both are up there at a significant 55%.
Wow, so being a good listener is just as important as being able to code.
In a way, yeah. Because ICT security managers, they don't work in isolation.
Right.
They need to understand complex technical documents, obviously,
Yeah.
but they also need to communicate effectively with their team
Right.
and then translate all that technical jargon into something everyone else can understand,
Make it make sense for those of us who aren't quite as tech savvy.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's about bridging that gap between the tech world and everyone else.
Right, exactly.
It's about making sure everyone understands that security matters.
And speaking of understanding, RoleCatcher says that technology advances present both incredible opportunities and significant challenges for ICT security managers.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like a constant race to stay ahead of the curve.
It is.
They have all these amazing new tools and technology at their disposal, but then there's always a new threat emerging.
Exactly.
Can you give me a real-world example of how that plays out?
Think about the rise of cloud computing.
Okay, yeah.
It's completely changed the game in terms of how organizations store and access data,
For sure.
but it's also brought a whole new world of security challenges.
Right, so suddenly it's not just about protecting physical servers anymore.
No.
It's this vast and complex cloud environment.
Exactly. And ICT security managers need to stay on top of all that, understanding how to secure these cloud-based systems,
Okay.
implementing the right protocols, making sure their team is trained on the latest cloud security best practices.
So it really is a continuous learning process.
Oh, yeah. Always adapting, always evolving.
Okay. So we've talked about skills, we've talked about that need for continuous learning, but what about certifications? RoleCatcher mentions a bunch,
Mhm.
things like CISSP, CSMM, CEH.
Yeah, yeah.
Are those really necessary or are they just like resume padding?
Honestly, it's a bit of both.
Okay.
A degree in a related field is usually preferred, but because it changes so rapidly, experience and certifications can be just as valuable.
Right.
They show you've got your finger on the pulse, that you're keeping up with all the latest threats and technologies.
So it's a way to stand out in a sea of applicants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a way to show employers you have that specialized knowledge that they're looking for, like
Mm,
that CISSP certification, the Certified Information Systems Security Professional.
okay.
It's globally recognized, and it carries a lot of weight.
Gotcha. So it tells a potential employer you know what you're doing.
Precisely.
So we've got the skills, the education, the certifications, but what about the actual career path?
Right.
What does that look like for an aspiring ICT security manager? We'll explore that in our next segment as we delve even deeper into the world of ICT security. Okay, so we know what it takes to become an ICT security manager,
Right.
but what does that career trajectory actually look like?
Well, RoleCatcher, they lay out a possible path, starting with junior analyst,
Okay.
moving up to security engineer,
Right.
and then maybe branching out into something like security consultant.
Okay.
It's a good starting point.
Sure.
Yeah. But in reality, cybersecurity careers, they're not always that straightforward.
Right, so it's not just a straight climb to the top.
Not necessarily. It's more about constantly learning new things,
Okay.
broadening your skill set, and adapting to the ever-changing nature of the field.
So less of a ladder and more of a choose your own adventure.
I like that. You might start as that junior analyst, you know, laser focused on finding system weaknesses.
Okay.
But then let's say you discover this passion for incident response and you transition to a more hands-on security engineer role.
Okay.
Or maybe you thrive in that client-facing environment and find your niche as a consultant, going from one organization to the next, helping them strengthen their security.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
There are lots of possibilities.
And speaking of those different roles, RoleCatcher gives us some interesting examples for each stage.
Right.
And one thing that really stood out to me was how the responsibility level, and let's be real, probably the salary changes as you move up.
Yeah.
Were there any details that really stuck out to you?
One thing that caught my eye was in that security engineer profile, they mentioned working with all these different teams, not just tech people, to build security right into the design of new systems.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's not just about protecting what's already there.
Right.
It's about making sure that security is part of the foundation from the ground up.
So you're not just a lone wolf tech expert anymore. You're a strategic thinker.
Exactly.
Someone who can see the big picture and communicate those ideas across different departments.
Absolutely.
No more working in silos.
And as you move into those more senior positions like
Yeah.
ICT Security Manager, those responsibilities, they just amplify.
I bet.
You're creating those comprehensive incident response plans, managing budgets, really steering this ship in terms of your organization's overall security approach.
Wow, that's quite the progression. But let's say someone is just starting their journey, maybe feeling a little overwhelmed by all of this. What's one piece of advice from RoleCatcher's Getting Started section that they could put into practice right now?
They really emphasize getting that practical experience even before you land your dream job.
Okay, how do you even do that?
Internships, contributing to open source projects, even taking on personal coding challenges. It's about building those real-world skills and having something concrete to show potential employers.
So build that portfolio, showcase your skills. It's about proving yourself even if you're just starting out.
Exactly. And that brings up another important point. RoleCatcher makes the competition in the ICT security job market is fierce.
It's a jungle out there.
It can be.
And they're pushing those AI resume scanners and their giant database of interview questions pretty hard.
Yeah, they are.
Is it really that competitive? Do you really need every advantage you can get?
Look, companies are turning to technology more and more to find the right candidates.
Yeah.
Applicant tracking systems, AI-powered resume scanners, those are the gatekeepers.
So your resume needs to be more than just a piece of paper. It needs to be a finely tuned, algorithm-pleasing machine.
In a nutshell, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where resources like RoleCatcher can be helpful.
Okay.
They give you insights into what employers are looking for, what keywords will grab their attention, even how to format your resume to make the biggest impact.
It's like gaming the system, but in a good way.
You got to know the rules to play the game. And speaking of which, They mentioned having 120,000 interview questions in their database.
120,000. That's insane.
It's a lot, but it highlights how crucial it is to be prepared.
Oh, for sure.
You have to be able to articulate what you know clearly and confidently.
So it all comes back to those communication and critical thinking skills we talked about earlier.
Exactly. You can have all the technical expertise in the world,
Right.
but if you can't express that effectively,
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
right, it won't get you very far.
It's that combination of technical know-how and the ability to get your point across that really makes all the difference.
Absolutely. Now, there's one last point I want to make, something that RoleCatcher just briefly mentions,
Okay.
but it's crucial. Promoting a culture of security awareness.
Interesting. What does that even mean, though? Like, in a workplace setting?
It's about getting away from the idea that security is just the IT department's problem.
Right.
It means everyone from the CEO to the intern understands they have a role to play in keeping things safe.
So it's about embedding security into the very fabric of the company culture.
Exactly. It's about giving everyone the knowledge and tools they need to identify and report potential risks, use strong passwords, spot phishing attempts,
Okay.
being proactive instead of reactive.
Right, right.
Basically creating this collective shield against these cyber threats.
And that's something an aspiring ICT security manager can really champion, even from the very beginning of their career.
100%. Because at the end of the day, cybersecurity is about protecting people. It's about creating a safer digital world for everyone. And that takes all of us working together.
That's a fantastic point to end on. So for all our listeners out there who are ready to embark on this incredible journey into the world of ICT security, remember this is just the beginning. Never stop learning, and always remember that you can make a real difference. Until next time, stay curious and stay secure.